Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome co-founder and Executive Vice President, Sales and Marketing, Ratmir Timashev.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. We are broadcasting live from Veeam 2019 Sales and Partner Kickoff. We have 2,000 very excited people here in the audience from all over the globe. Here in sunny Orlando, Florida. And we're very, very excited because today we're announcing the general availability of the major update for Veeam Availability Platform. You know, we live in a very exciting time where data has become the new commodity, the new major commodity. Data is the money, data is the gold, data is the growth, data is the future. Data is everything. I like this Economist article that compared data with gold and oil. They said that now data can be extracted, refined, valued, bought, and sold. Data creates new infrastructures, new businesses, new monopolies, new politics, in general, new economy. That's why it's so exciting to be in this business. I normally tell young people, like, you have to go in software business. Now I say, no, you have to go into the data business, right? Data is doubling every 2 years, and in just short 5 years, we will have 20 times more data. Data is everywhere, it's spreading, it's between geographies, between clouds, databases, application devices, and it all needs to be managed. So that creates challenges. And we know that customers, our customers, they are moving to multi-cloud. And number one concern for them is managing the data in multi-cloud, how to secure, how to protect, how to recover the data in multi-cloud. And to solve these challenges, business leaders need to understand where the data is, how it's moving, how to migrate it, what are the best approaches and techniques and best practices to protect data in multi-cloud. Over the last 10 years, Veeam has dominated the data management and data protection market in a highly virtualized on-prem private cloud. But the industry is shifting. The industry is moving from private cloud to multi-cloud, to hybrid cloud. So now we have the opportunity to dominate, Veeam has the opportunity to dominate this market, the new market, which we call the cloud data management. If we win this market in the next 2 years, we will dominate it for the next 10 years. And that's our challenge, that's our opportunity. Today, we're very proud that we already have the leadership position that we have established in the last 10 years. According to Gartner and IDC, we are #1 market share leader in data protection software in Europe. And we're #4 worldwide. But in reality, I believe that we're #1 because our legacy competitors generate most of their revenue from maintenance renewal, from subscription, from support contracts. And for us, we're #1 in terms of new customers and new revenue. But I'm most proud of our Net Promoter Score, one of the highest in the industry, 73, which means 9 out of 10 customers, Veeam customers, recommend Veeam. It's the highest one of the highest in the industry, 3.5 times higher than average. Also, we have 330,000 customers worldwide. And just in the last 12 months, we added 50,000 customers. And 80% of Fortune 500 are Veeam customers. I'm very proud about what we have achieved in the last 10 years. And our vision is very clear. It's to be the most trusted provider of backup solutions that enable intelligent data management. Those are the key words, backup, as the first foundational stage for overall intelligent data management. Today, we're announcing a big step in our journey to achieve that vision. We're launching our latest major version of Veeam Availability Platform. It's the most important and most anticipated. We know that this platform helps and will help customers to move to and manage data in multi-cloud. It solves real-world customer problems. And I would like to just emphasize briefly 4 major capabilities. First is it helps customers to find, to leverage cloud, to leverage public cloud for cost-effective, scalable data retention. In fact, we call it unlimited scalability data retention using public cloud and object storage. That's the #1 capability. #2, easy cloud migration and data mobility. #4, backup and protection for cloud-native applications and data. And finally, we have added lots of capabilities to increase the security and data governance in multi-cloud. Again, you will hear more about these capabilities later today. Finally, we are disrupting the industry yet again with new, what we call portable instance-based licensing. Now the customers can move their licensing from one workload to another as they move into multi-cloud. It reduces cost of licensing. It reduces cost of managing the licenses. We believe that, again, we are the first in the industry to offer these portable subscription licenses for Veeam software, disrupting the industry yet again. Finally, I would like to thank our R&D team, the best in class, the best in the industry, for working very hard to making this release available. Without any further ado, I would like to introduce Anton Gostev, Senior VP of Product Management, and Danny Allen, VP of Product Strategy.
All right, thank you, and welcome to everyone in the room. We have a couple thousand people here in the room, and I think close to 20,000 registered online as well. So we are so excited. Well, I'm like a kid in a candy store here. I'm so excited about this. Anton literally was breaking his leg getting the release out to the masses in time. So thank you.
Yeah, really excited and to launch something that some features were in the work for over 2 years. So great thanks for R&D to delivering this amazing update for.
Yeah, credit really goes to R&D. So now it's time for the market. And we focused on 3 different things for this particular release. We focused on cloud data retention, and we're going to talk through all of these. Cloud data retention was a key ask. So we had a lot of customers who said, I want to leverage the cloud as part of my strategic initiative. And you'll see how we've done that. The second is cloud mobility. We have a lot of customers that say, OK, I'm leveraging the cloud for retention, but now I need to make sure that I'm not locked into the infrastructure where I am right now. And that's a key differentiator for us. We focus on being simple, reliable, flexible. And so cloud mobility is the second thing that we focused on. And lastly, if we're talking cloud, 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 then of course security and compliance comes up. And so we have some things to share with you today, a few demos that we're really excited about on these 3 areas. So the first thing that we're going to focus on, the first area, was really to solve 2 issues that we see repeatedly. The first is around capacity. If data is exploding, we're gathering gigabytes, terabytes of data, and we're trying to protect it. There's a challenge with protecting and growing the backup and the protection of all of that data. And so we thought, we need a solution that enables tiering of data to object storage to address that capacity issue. The second is reducing cost. If we tier it to object storage, that can drive down the costs. And so the value and purpose of this, what we introduced, is Veeam Cloud Tier. The value and purpose of this is to make sure that you can increase your capacity and reduce your costs of your backups. This is a little different than a backup copy. You know the 3-2-1 rule, 3 copies of data, 2 different media types, 1 off-site. We have 20,000 VCSPs that you can send your backups to off-site through Cloud Connect. This is about increasing your capacity and reducing your costs of your repositories. So Anton, why don't you explain how it works?
Sure, thanks, Danny. So this is the scale-out backup repository that we all know and love. Gives you the ability to mix and match different storage types in a single scale-out pool. Awesome. But what if you never had to worry about that scale-out backup repository running out of space ever again, right? This is huge, and that's what we're delivering with Cloud Tier. So what we do, in simple words, is we take the oldest backup, that have already left your operational restore window, that's sometimes 3 or 7 days, and we push it to the object storage. And for the object storage, we support literally thousands of S3-compatible hardware devices and S3-compatible public cloud storage providers. And of course, we do support the biggest object storage providers such as Amazon S3, Azure Blob Storage, and IBM Cloud Object Storage, right? But of course, as always with Veeam R&D, the devil is in details. And we're very proud with pretty unique implementation. And I like to talk about 5 points when I talk about implementation. First, it's policy-based. It's much more simplified. You don't have to set up backup copy jobs or monitor them, make sure they run correctly. No, it happens on a policy-based. As soon as backup gets old enough, it gets moved off to the object storage. Importantly, though, it's not just a single policy. There is another optional policy where you can say, yeah, I want to move the backups as they get 7 days old, for example, to the object storage. However, if my performance tier runs out of capacity, then start doing it sooner, right? Don't wait for 7 days. That basically allows our partners who have many clients to serve to deploy sort of fire and forget solutions to make sure they don't have to come back, and tweak performance tier, add more storage to performance tier. It's fire and forget solution, really powerful. Second, it's transparent. And we'll talk a little bit more how we achieve that on the next slide. But what is important for you here is that it doesn't matter where the given backup file sits. Every Veeam functionality still works, even for backup files that is offloaded to object storage. Very common question, can I restore directly from object storage, or do I need to stage the backup files back first and even find a place on premises for staging? No, you can restore directly from object storage, right? Space efficiency was, of course, a big deal. We want to save you money, right? And compression goes without saying. Of course, there's optional encryption because we deal with object storage in the cloud. But important part of it is that we do the offload in what we call forever incremental manner, effectively doing source-side dedupe, right? So we don't duplicate the blocks which are already sitting in object storage. And there will be a lot of such blocks if you're offloading GFS files, for example, grandfather, father, son retention backup files. Last 2 bullets we're very proud of. First one, major design consideration, we are self-sufficient. And by that I mean we don't rely on any sort of configuration, metadata on-prem for you to be able at any point of time in future to restore your backup sitting in the cloud, right? Completely independent, completely independent. Very different from many other implementation where if you lose the on-prem part, you can no longer make sense of those billions of blobs sitting in object storage. No, we don't take your basically data hostage. In fact, even 5 years later, you can come, you don't have a Veeam license anymore, you can still restore it because we even support the restores using the free edition. Again, we don't hold your data hostage. I think it's very important. Finally, we don't introduce extra costs to use this feature. Again, many of our competition, they charge the cloud tax. They charge you per terabyte fee to actually use the cloud, public cloud, right? So not only you pay to the object storage providers, you also pay to the vendor. No, for us it's free. Again, no, we don't tax your desire to use the public cloud. It's totally free. So Danny, how about we, the last slide. Yeah, I promised you to really quickly, because I know many of you IT pros like the details. So how do we make sure that our integration with object storage is transparent? We literally transparently spill backup files into object storage doing one very simple thing, right? When we offload all the backup to object storage, we actually do offload all the data of the backup file. But what we do leave on premises is what we call a shell of a backup file that only contains metadata, right? And it's important for a couple of things. And most importantly, it serves as a cache, right? So you don't have, you need to know that you have that file. You don't have to go to object storage. You already have all the metadata on premises. But the critical piece of the solution is that our Veeam backend replication can still work transparently with such files, even if all of their data sits in object storage, thanks to this metadata, right? So this is what makes the implementation transparent. Everything just works whether or not the backup file sits on premises or it has been offloaded to object storage. Now I think is the time for demo, right?
Well, 2 more things actually that are really exciting about this is when we send the data to cloud, then that's the retention aspect of it, but some customers want to recover in the cloud. And we have had for a long while, as you know, Veeam Direct Restore to Azure. In Update 4, we're adding Direct Restore to AWS and Direct Restore to Microsoft Azure Stack. And so two really powerful capabilities to enable that mobility that you're all asking for. And then, of course, if you're recovering your data in the cloud, you probably need to protect it. Well, a year ago, we acquired N2WS, and so we now have the capability with Veeam Availability for AWS to do cloud-native, agentless-based data protection of what's running in the cloud. And what's really interesting about this is we take the snapshot at the API level, of course, on block storage, but the same way that we're storing things in object storage, we can do with Veeam Availability for AWS. But this is slideware, and I know that the people online, the people in the room want to see demos. So let's hand it over to our global technologist, Anthony Spiteri, to give us a demo of this. Anthony?
Thanks, Danny. Thanks, Danny. So we at the product strategy team like living on the edge, and we like doing live demos, right? So everything that you're about to see here and the 3 other demos, they're all live. So if I can get you guys to get off your mobile phones and free up the web space, that would be fantastic. So with that, let's kick in, right? So what you can see here is obviously the Veeam Backup Replication console from Update 4. And the first thing that I'm going to point out with the cloud here is where you actually back up the object storage repository. So you can see here that I've got a couple of pre-configured repositories, a couple going to Amazon S3, Azure Blob, and one going in S3 compatible as well. So first thing to do to actually add the backup repository is to click in here and click on the object storage. So you can see we've got a fresh UI look as well in Update 4, which is amazing. If you have a look here with the object storage, you can see here that we've got all the capabilities, S3 compatible, Amazon S3, Azure Blob, and IBM Cloud. So I'm not going to go through the actual configuration of that, but what I want to show you is actually show you on the SOBA where we actually configure that on the Scale-Up Backup repository. So for those that are used to Scale-Up Backup repository, you can see that we've added a little bit to the window here. So if we click on Properties, you can see now that we've got Performance tier. And this Performance tier is your local repositories, and you can see here that I've got a couple configured. The placement policy is still the same, data, locality, or performance. Now this is where we've added the feature for the cloud tier. In the UI, it's called capacity tier. So if we have a look here, we've got the option to extend the Scale-Up Backup repository with object storage. And we've got the drop-down list here, which was those ones that I previously configured. You've got the ability also to add it directly from here if you want. Now the key thing here though, and what we're talking about here is this policy, the operational restore window. So the actual setting here is what dictates how much data you want to keep in the operational restore window locally. So if we've got it set to 7 days, that would be 7 days on premises, and then after that, the backups will be tiered to the object storage at that point. So the one thing that I want to show is actually the power of it and innovation. And Anton's talked about the fact that we can do some really smart things. And for me, this is one of the most innovative pieces of technology that we've released in a number of years. So what I'm going to do a live demo of a VM failure. So you can see here that I've got a website here. It's a WordPress site, Veeam Velocity. It is live, no smoke and mirrors. What I'm going to actually do, I'm going to simulate a failure. So I'm going to stop this VM. Let's power that off. And I've got a ping running to it. And what you'll see hopefully in a few seconds is that time's out. There we go. So this VM's down. Now what I'm going to do is go back into the Veeam Backup Replication console. I'm going to click on Home, go to our backup jobs. And you can see that I've got that VM here. I'm going to right-click it. I'm going to do an instant VM recovery. But before that, it's really important to point out that all of that great restore capability that we have in Veeam is capable here, even though the data is sitting partially in that cloud tier. We can even restore to Amazon EC2. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off this instant VM recovery. And you can see here this location, very important to see. I talked about the operational restore window. So here we've got the local on premises, and you can see there's a bunch of restore points that live in the actual capacity tier. So I'm going to select that one, going to restore to a new location, just basically go through this wizard. Check on the resources, select that, go through. So I'm just going to basically go through and finish this off. Very importantly, remember to click these two, or the demo's not going to be much use. Hit restore. So what we're doing here is we're using Veeam's instant recovery to basically mount an NFS data store to an ESXi host and get that VM up and running. Now the key here is they're actually going to stream the data not from the local repositories but from the clouds here. So it's going to go through and start that VM recovery. Should take a couple of seconds. We'll go back into vCenter, and what we'll see is there's a few seconds we should get a new VM pop up. There you go. So this VM, I'll click into it. This is the recovery VM. It's going to power on in a second. Give it a bit of time to power on once it comes through. And really importantly, the key part here is that we're actually, again, going to instant VM this machine from that cloud tier. So just powering it on. There we go. We'll launch that console. And now this is actually booting up. So again, think about what we're doing here. We're actually booting up this VM with the blocks of data that have been dehydrated from the local VBK, but are now streaming from Amazon S3. Okay, so you're obviously going to get some slightly degraded performance here because we're pulling the data off the internet. And just to show you that that's actually happening, what we'll go through here is you can see that we've got the Veeam agent with data streaming from Amazon US East 2, okay? And that data is actually going and streaming into that ESXi host, okay? So while this actually boots up, let's give it a bit of time. We should see a ping start to appear in a couple of seconds. So we'll leave it at that. And again, whilst it's booting up, one of the key things to point out is this feature is going to dynamically change the way that people think about their repositories, okay? Not only for end users, but also for the point of view of cloud service providers being able to leverage this technology and actually extend their local repositories into the cloud. So let's give this a few seconds to boot up. It's always interesting doing these demos because you never know the timing. Here we go.
By the way, it would work much faster if you all didn't use Wi-Fi right now. I'm just kidding.
All right, here we go.
Because all the people in the audience are using their phones and taking the bandwidth.
All right. So give us a little bit more time. Actually, in the meantime, we'll wait here and actually let this time out because this should be down. So there you go. Can't be reached. So let's go here. There's the ICMP request. Things are going well. OK, let's give it a couple more seconds to boot up. Wait up. That's not it. That's not it, guys. Hold on, hold on.
Not done yet.
That's pretty impressive to start with, but that's not actually
It's always about the application, right? When you're talking about recovery.
So once the
Who cares the OS boots?
Yeah, so once the splash screen comes up, to finish it off, we want to get that website back up and running, okay? So let's give it a couple of seconds. Come up. You should see actually more data streaming through now. You can see the actual megs have picked up, so we're streaming the data again, extending that from the cloud. There we go, come on, come on. There we go. And now let's hit refresh. We might get a database error to start with, but that's okay. Come on, live demos. There we go.
This is
as expected. As
this
expected.
is a part of the script.
As expected. And now we should get the website. Here we go. This is already going better than 2017, so we're pretty happy. All right. Come on.
Yeah!
Thank you, Anthony. That was unbelievable. So what you just saw, well, two things. The benefit of this, right? Near limitless capacity to use object storage, whether that be object storage on premises or whether it be in the cloud, to reduce your costs by using that object storage. We don't charge for the ability to go and put it on that object storage, unlike competitors. But you just saw an instant VM recovery, a VM that was stored up in object storage in the public cloud, power on, and then we can migrate it back on premises.
Yep.
How's that for actually making a solution that changes the industry? So, thank you, Anthony.
So Danny, what's next? Are we going to run VMs from tapes now?
VMs from tapes, maybe next year we'll do that one. So that's not all. We're solving other issues as well. So we talked a lot about the cloud, moving things to cloud, storing things in the cloud. And every time you say cloud, people say, oh, security, oh, compliance. And so one of the things that we wanted to address in this release is how do we help improve security? How do we help support the compliance efforts? You wouldn't believe the news articles and in our forums, people talking about ransomware and the challenges that they face with malware. Or with GDPR, there's the right to be forgotten. I can call up and say, I just got a mortgage. I'd like you to delete all of my data from you. Well, OK, you can't do that, right, Mike? But you can actually exercise the right to be forgotten. What happens if they recover that data? Well, we thought we're focused on simplicity, reliability, flexibility. Let's take these two challenges, automate it into the platform in a very simple way. And to do that, we took something known as Veeam Virtual Labs. And yes, we renamed it to Veeam Data Labs, but that's not all. We actually improved the technology, right, Anton?
Correct. So it's important to realize it's not just a marketing rename. It's the next iteration of the Virtual Labs feature. And that's because previously, Virtual Labs were used for different use cases that were against what we're doing with this release. So previously, we had, actually it was by design that we needed to discard any changes made to the VM as it runs to Virtual Lab, because it was all about backup recovery verification, maybe on-demand sandbox, but as soon as you power off the VM, you don't want the changes obviously apply back to backup files, you want to discard them. So it was by design to discard the changes. Also, because the use cases were pretty limited, we were just running the application scripts that would verify recoverability of applications, right? Like in that example, on a backup file, on a backup server. So the two critical changes we're making in Virtual Labs version 2, called Data Labs at first, ability to persist the changes made to the VM as it runs in the Virtual Lab, and second, ability to run application level scripts inside of the actual VM, inject and run of that. And because of that, that basically opens us opportunity to implement a couple of really, really cool features. The first one is called the stage restore. I'll tell you how it works and why it's very important, right? Why this capability is very important. So when you perform the restore, you can start performing it normally by selecting the restore point. Then if you select the stage restore option, then VM will first be started in Veeam Data Lab. In that Veeam Data Lab, you can then configure the application level script to run and do some changes to the VM. I'll give you some examples later. And then when you make some changes to VM, to the application, operating system settings, wherever, you can now move that new changed VM state into the production, finalize the recovery by moving the changed state into the production environment, right? Why is this important? When we started designing this feature, of course, our one and only use case in mind was GDPR, right? And specifically, the right to be forgotten. As a matter of fact, when you're restoring the old backup, right, that may still contain the data that you have already cleaned up in your production environment while you executed the right to be forgotten, the request that you get from the users. The old backup may still have that data. And when you need to restore the old backup for whatever reason, maybe because of ransomware attack and you really have to roll back a week ago or so, you must clean up the data again. So how do you do it? Most applications will not allow you to just mount the file, the database file, and make the edits. It will just render database inconsistent, and the whole application will go down, right? So the only way to make changes to the applications, to the databases like SQL Server or Oracle, is actually the only way to make it consistent is to make it as application is running, right? But again, you can't run it in production yet because it contains the data that has to be forgotten. So what we do is exactly that. We put that machine in a data lab. We allow you to use the exactly same script, and that's important. We allow you to use exactly the same script that you use in your production environment to execute the right to be forgotten. And that's possible because your data lab is a complete copy of a production environment. All the scripts that work in your production will just work in the data lab. So we allow you to clean up that state and move the cleaned up state into production environment, making sure you don't never violate GDPR. So that was the main use case for that feature. But as soon as I started talking to the customers, what we delivered in update 4, it was like aha moment for many, many of them, because they realized, even those who don't have to deal with GDPR, very few companies don't, right? Even if they're not a European company, they realized it will help them to streamline their IT workflows. For example, many of them have use cases where they need to make the VM or physical backup compliant with the target environment before they can actually do the restore. And that may include from something simple like updating IP addresses, DNS server records, to maybe tweaking firewall settings, to installing some mandatory software like antivirus. Maybe you have a policy, no machines without antiviruses in my HQ data center. All of that can now be automated as you perform the restores, maybe from backups, from RoboOffice, maybe from some other backups, right? So really, really powerful capability called stage restore. But that's not it. We're also introducing the feature called secure restore, which is sort of a variation, but not a complete, it's a little bit different, right? And again, I'll start from how it works. When you select, again, you start the restore normally, you select the restore point. What we do next, we don't power on VM in the data lab. we just mounted disks to the mount server so that we can access inside of the guest file system, right? What we do next is we automatically trigger the antivirus program installed on the mount server to do the scan of guest volumes, right? And then, based on the results, you have some options, right? You can either restore it to cancel the restore or restore it to production in a way that will not hurt the production. What are the use cases? The one most obvious use case, probably as you know, everybody's talking about ransomware, is sleeping ransomware. Over the past years, ransomware became really smart. When you get ransomware, it will not act immediately. It will wait for a week, for 2 weeks, maybe months, and then will start doing its evil stuff, right? That's why when maybe you're having a ransomware attack, you roll back to the previous restore point from the yesterday, and ransomware is still there. And it just impacts your RTOs. You cannot recover from an attack. You have to restore again and again. That's exactly what this feature will prevent, right? Because we now can check the guest file system files for the presence of any malware or other threats before performing the restore. Another obvious use case maybe if it's a large environment, multiple data centers, one of your robo environments goes down, and maybe that location has less IT control, less IT attention, right? And you need to restore those backups in HQ temporarily, maybe for a week, for months, while you're acquiring the new hardware for robo. Again, you're just risking bringing unknown threats from that environment with less IT control into your environment. And right now, you're not probably even thinking about it. You just click, restore, right? And that's what trouble comes. And again, something built in, very obvious and simple need. Somehow, nobody in the market addresses it, right? And Veeam delivers it with secure restore. Real quickly, common question, what antivirus engine did you use to build secure restore? No particular one. So out of the box, we integrate with Windows Defender because we wanted a feature that just works for everyone. And you know, Windows Defender is found pre-installed on any Windows server since 2012, I think. So we support that. We support a semantic protection engine, which is the enterprise version of the antivirus. Who would have thought 3 years ago that we would integrate with semantic?
That's a good one.
Yeah. And we also integrate out of the box with ESET, not 32, just because we are the customers and developers had it on their machine and they just built the integration. However, we actually, this secure restore is extendable to any antivirus program that provides basic command line interface, right? And we'll have a specification and user guide how to do it, but it's fairly simple, right? So, Danny, how about demos?
Yeah, I love this one because I'm passionate about security, spent a decade in the space. So let's turn it over to a global technologist, Michael Cade, to give us a demonstration of what this is all about. Michael?
Yes, thanks, Danny. So, first up, I guess I better do a live demo the same as Anthony, as he set the stakes. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to show off the PowerShell, the power of our PowerShell commandlets. One thing to note, we have 170 new commandlets in PowerShell, and really that's there to allow our third-party integrations to inject them process. So I'm going to run this instant VM recovery with that secure restore function set in there. And what this is going to do is going to run through what Anton just showed about mounting that backup file to our mount server with all our AV and our latest antivirus definitions. And I have infected a machine on our lab where we're doing these live demos. So everyone, if they could keep their fingers crossed, that'd be really good. So if I just jump back over into Veeam Backup and Replication, you're going to see this job. And just to prove that it's live, and we've found that Windows Defender is installed on our mount host. And we're performing an antivirus scan against that machine right now. And hopefully it finds something. So just to put that into perspective, obviously everything that we do is also within the wizard. Very simple, easy, wizard-driven approach to being able to do these restores. So I've shown you instant VM recovery. The wizard allows you to do it there. But also, this is full VM. So full VM, we can tick that box, and it says, yes, we're going to scan that file system. If we find malware, then we're going to proceed, or we can proceed with the recovery, but disable the network adapters. That allows us to go in as an administrator and diagnose that, maybe delete the files, or have a workaround to be able to look at what that's actually doing and causing. Or we completely abort that recovery, and we continue with another restore point or another option there. Also, to show in the entire VM restore is the stage restore. So this is that injection of process inside of that VM that's in an isolated data lab. So, but it's not just instant VM recovery. It's not just entire VM recovery. think about all the other recovery options, cloud mobility being the key one. I don't ever want one of my backups to be restored or migrated into AWS or Azure or into the public cloud if it's infected by malware. So secure restore will be an option in all of those restore functions. So restore to Amazon EC2, restore to Microsoft Azure, but also virtual disk restore. So if you're doing a large file level recovery against a huge data set, and you only want that D drive, that E drive, then we can do that here as well, and we can perform that scan on there. Now, fingers crossed, if we go back to this job, it takes about 2 minutes and 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5. So then we've just found this antivirus. So there's some malware threat detected within that system. From the interface, we can also then go and look, where are they? Where are they in that system? Because if we've chosen the caveat to say, if we find malware, let's go inside of that virtual machine without any network adapters installed and allow us to go and troubleshoot that through the console. So we can see where them files sit. Then we're going to continue. So at the moment now, if I jump over into my vSphere environment, you're going to see, hopefully, a Hyphen demo that's going to be powering on. And the key thing to mention here, when that powers on, fingers crossed, is hopefully when we see that power on, you're going to see the Windows screen, you're going to see the login screen, but you're going to see that the network adapter is disconnected. And then that allows us to go inside there, and it allows us to then troubleshoot that system. We can do that from the vSphere environment, or we could do that from within here, where we see the instant VM recovery. If we right-click on there, we can actually open the VM console from VBR, another feature that we've had for a while that I don't think we use as much. So we're going to see that, and that machine there, if I show, there we can see that machine is booting and that the network's disconnected. So with that, hopefully I haven't infected Rick's demo next, and back to you, Danny.
Thank you. This is mind-blowing. We're taking real customer problems, we're patenting them, of course, but we're actually making solutions that work. As we go to cloud mobility and agility, making sure that this is secure. And we do this with simplicity. You saw him start that with one click, by the way, through APIs. The same way that we build it into our interface, we have really comprehensive APIs to kick this off or to do it inside the UI, solving problems. So the third area I want to focus on is reliability. Because if security impacts reliability, then so does our entire IT infrastructure. And so one of the big focuses for us in Update 4 was improving the reliability and increasing efficiency. And the reason why this is the case, about a week ago, someone on our forums, maybe he's watching online, Frosty, no idea who Frosty is, but he said, reliability is my #1 priority. And so we thought, we should build intelligent diagnostics into our platform so that we can be smarter about educating our customers about their own environment. And so, Anton, do you want to explain how this works?
Yeah, sure, Dan, thanks. So each time that you open a support case today, do you know what happens? Actually, the debug log package that you upload through the portal into our system, it goes through automated data mining system that will scan through those terabytes of logs. One customer uploaded that 40 terabyte support log package, right? So it goes through that package and looks for the known issue signatures, right? And as soon as it finds anything, it will basically notify the support engineer that the likely issue is this and this and this. This is the only way we can actually handle over 1,000 of support cases that get opened. Like it would be impossible without this automated data mining to actually process this amount of logs, by just human resources, so to speak, right? So we thought, if it works so well for us, why wouldn't we put this very, very powerful data analysis engine into our customer hands, right? And so that the engine will run on your premises and notify the issues right away without you even having to open a support case. And it kind of sounds like a great idea, and that's exactly what Veeam Intelligent Diagnostic does, right? It's effectively a phone home without phoning home, right? So we didn't want to go the path that the industry goes, where they just implement phone home, right? Because we cannot have a feature, very important feature, dependent on phoning home, and at the same time, in our best practices, recommend that you disable any internet access from your backup infrastructure, right? It's just counterintuitive. So instead, we deliver the same value, but without any data leaving ever your premises, right? So how it works? Basically, our support personnel does what they do today already for many years. They keep updating our internal knowledge base with with any new issues found, and documenting their signatures so that that data mining system can actually get the signatures and run them against the debug logs, right? Then what's different now is that Veeam 1 actually can pull those issues. The monitoring system, monitoring product for backup application can pull those signatures into itself periodically. And then it will use those signatures to automatically scan by default daily through all the debug logs that your Veeam backup application produces. And again, basically, they notify you about the issues or even automatically remediate them, right? What type of issues are we talking about? Well, it can be something as simple as you missing a critical hotfix for some functionality that you're using, right? Also maybe quite simple but very commonly found misconfiguration, right? You just deploy the default installation, click, 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 and you didn't configure it optimally, and your backup window is too large, right? So that's simple. But we are really thinking much further with this functionality, right? And we're thinking that actually in future, we can even take the data, the monitoring data that Veeam 1 already accumulates about Veeam virtual infrastructure, right? And kind of run it by the backup replication experience with that infrastructure, right? And apply some machine learning, right, to find something less predictable, right? For example, some issue in virtual infrastructure directly impacting your backups. So it's going to be a very, very powerful system because we have, again, as Danny said in his previous presentation, it's all about data. And we have so much data in Veeam 1, and we're adding all this data in Veeam backup application logs, and now we can make really, really powerful conclusions automatically for you.
So incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Let's see it live, right?
Yeah.
And to do that, we have our Senior Director of Product Strategy, Rick Vanover, to demo this. Rick?
Thanks, Anton. Thanks, Danny. And we're going to start in a familiar place. We're going to look at Veeam 1's data protection view. And the innovations that Anton and Danny spoke of really can start right here with this Veeam 1 agent. The Veeam 1 agent is doing just as described. It's interpreting those Veeam backup and replication logs on Veeam 1, and it's configurable to happen every day, in this example, at 7 a.m. And you can have multiple backup and replication servers applied to. So Anton talked about that outstanding support process. Where does that go? What does it look like? Well, if we look in the alarm management of Veeam 1, we'll go all the way down. We got to move this up, Anton. It's way cooler than the bottom, by the way. But anyways, you'll see a new section here called Intelligent Diagnostics. And that's where these support issues get displayed locally. So we can actually see inside of here, we have two ecosystem examples, one from a hyperscale cloud, and then also one from a storage system where we might see potential issues using Veeam, as well as some issues from Veeam backup and replication itself. So these, again, are going to really reduce case count for customers, but also walk into some remediation that can get quite interesting. So I'll take one of these, for example. If we take a look at this particular alarm, first of all, this is enabled, but those intelligent diagnostics are great information to get down, but then there's an additional new capability for Veeam 1, and there's many new capabilities for Veeam 1, but this remediation action, this is where it gets really cool. We can actually drop in a step that will potentially resolve this if there's an established KB, and we can even go one step further and run that automatically. So this is really, really intelligent, and this particular capability is the remediation action, new with this version of Veeam 1. But if you also look at some of the existing alarms, right? I like to joke with my team. By the way, this is the same lab for all of these, but I'm a sloppy admin. I will completely admit this. But one of our established alarms is the backup job disabled alarm. I might go in, make a change, not clean up after myself. But we can actually drop in an automatic remediation where this particular job is re-enabled. So lots of intelligence with Veeam 1 from Veeam Intelligent Diagnostics and then the remediation actions, but it does not stop there. So I'm going to go over to this part of Veeam 1, the reporters. And this is something, especially for our partners in the room, you guys have built a business of tuning backup environments for our customers. So one of the ways you can kind of over time make sure that that still performs by design is this heat map, because the environment's going to change. So when I look at this heat map, I'm really clearly seeing how this environment is performing. Now I have about half of my backup storage used, and if I look at a scale-out backup repository, I can visualize the extents. My kind of higher performance tiers are green, that's great. But over here in Proxy Town, I like to call it, where I look at my backup proxies, I actually can see that there's something not quite as I designed it. Now I'll look at this backup proxy, and yeah, it got a little heat here and there. Look in this example here, we're running at 83% busy, but for the most of the day, throughout the last week, not much happening. But on this proxy, oh, different story. This one is taking much more of the workload, and it's not quite balanced. So there's an opportunity to tune this backup environment, but I can even go down and see what's going on to make this happen. And again, same lab from the cloud with a virus and a job called CPU crush, so you know we're pushing the limit on things. A lot of innovation here with Veeam 1. What do you think of that, Danny?
That is true intelligence built into the platform. Amazing. My belief, actually, is that combining automation with this type of machine learning is going to unlock the greatest innovations over the next decade, and we're bringing that out to our customer base. And so it's not just these things. We have a focus, obviously, on Veeam Cloud Service Providers. Thank you for those in the room and for those that are watching online. We have a lot of features for them as well, because we recognize that things like disaster recovery as a service is dependent on those VCSPs. And so we've built in things like integrating Cloud Connect replication into vCloud Director. So a lot of capabilities in Update 4 for that. But that's not all. I could say one more thing, but it's actually about 20 more things that they're yelling at me backstage because we're out of time, of course. But there's so many things that are packed in this release that are exciting to myself and to Anton and hopefully to everyone in the room. The last thing that I wanted to very quickly touch on, though, because we talked a lot about cloud data management and moving to the cloud, and that is a new licensing paradigm. We're not getting rid of the old licensing, but we're introducing something known as Veeam Instance Licensing. And the purpose for that is as we move across all these different infrastructures and move our workloads across all these different models from physical to virtual to cloud hosted to cloud native, we want the flexibility to be able to move those workloads without renegotiating contracts or without locking in to what we have today. And so we're introducing an update for Veeam Instance Licensing, first in the market and hugely valuable to our customers and to our partners. And so a lot of really exciting things in Update 4. Couldn't possibly be more excited to be on stage to share some of these things with you. And a lot of them obviously had to do with cloud. So I'd like to introduce to the stage our Vice President of Business and Corporate Development, Carrie Stanton. Carrie?
Thank you, Danny. That was phenomenal. What about those live demos from Anthony, Michael, and Rick? Let's give it to them. That was amazing. Today's launch marks a new beginning for Veeam's relationships with our cloud partners, including 3 of the world's largest cloud providers, AWS, Microsoft, and IBM. They're just as excited, if not more, for this release, for the features and innovations in this release and what it will bring to our joint customers. You heard from Danny and Anton that today we announced availability for AWS. And I'd like to introduce to you Sabina Joseph, Head of Global Partners and Alliances at AWS, to give us her perspective on our relationship with Veeam and also the significance of this release. Please play the video.
Hello, Veeam team. My name is Sabina Joseph, and I am responsible for 4 different partner segments within AWS globally. I hope you are enjoying your sales kickoff and looking forward to an exciting 2019. At AWS, we are very excited about our partnership with Veeam. We started the relationship 4 years ago with N2WS, now a Veeam company, with their cloud-native backup and recovery products purpose-built for AWS workloads. Our partnership is building momentum in 2019 with the new launches announced today. Veeam Availability for AWS will allow customers to holistically manage their data protection both on-premises and on AWS. Together, Veeam and AWS offer extensive capabilities for customers in their journey to intelligent data management. Veeam Availability Suite 9.5 Update 4 delivers native Amazon S3 object storage integration with your cloud peering feature. On behalf of the AWS team, we look forward to continuing to work closely together with Veeam throughout 2019 and beyond globally to ensure protection of customer data and provide our joint customers simple and reliable backup solutions. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Sabina and AWS, for your continued support. All the Veeam sellers and partners take note to Sabina's messaging with regarding the managing of data on-prem and in the cloud. Hybrid cloud is very important to AWS. And together with AWS, we will solve our customer problems and give them options to help effectively protect their data. As many of you know, Microsoft and Veeam have had a long-term working relationship, in fact, over a decade. We've been working on solutions such as Hyper-V, Windows Server, Office 365, OneDrive, Active Directory, Azure, Azure Stack. In fact, everyone that still uses Veeam Backup and Recovery uses WinServer. So, it's with special excitement that I'm pleased to welcome Casey McGee, Vice President of Microsoft's Partner Development, on stage. Thanks, Casey. Casey, thank you for flying across the entire country down to sunny Orlando to be with us here today. We truly appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, and I got to say I was impressed by what I saw last night. Some real energy in the lobby bar. Well done, everyone. It's great to see the excitement, and I'm really, really happy to be.
But after dinner, did you get caught at the lobby bar?
I got caught.
Oh, okay,
I'll admit.
Okay.
One quick drink.
Okay, well, that's good. So Casey, could you give us a bit of an overview, your time at Microsoft and what your role is here today?
Yeah, you bet. So I've been at Microsoft 17 years, and just like many of you, I started as a seller. I spent some time in our services organization running strategy and operations, and I've been with partners for almost 10 years of my career. Good. So now I lead partner development. That looks after our systems integrators and our ISVs, really looking at how we recruit new partners onto our platform and then help the existing partners grow.
Wow. Well, and you and your team have been truly helpful for everything we've done, and 2 years in a row, #1 co-sell, so thank you again for that. I know how we respect the relationship that we have with Microsoft, but could you give us your perspective of how Microsoft looks at Veeam and our effort in the marketplace?
Yeah, you bet. So earlier today, Ratmir showed an incredible slide about the history that Veeam has. And I will tell you, Microsoft has been a big part of that history. So we've got 10 years of history with the company, rich partner ecosystem, and the fact that we go back 10 years, back to when most of what we were doing was actually on-prem with Windows, and then certainly with Office 365. So we've got that rich history. We also have a better together story that we've built over the course of the last 3 or 4 years. So really accelerating co-sell, the joint work that we do together with our customers is actually, Veeam's one of the best partners in our ecosystem today at doing that. So better together story with deep history means you're one of our best.
Fantastic. How about those demos? You saw a lot of new technology we announced here today. One of the key features is our Cloud Archive tier with native integration into Microsoft Blob storage. Do you think this is a game changer as much as we do?
Yeah, it's a huge game changer. So many of you have seen the transformation Microsoft has gone through. And I will tell you, a lot of that is on the basis of customers wanting to transform their business. And I think we all know that at the base of that, at the heart of their transformation is data. So the fact that you're now releasing product and innovating is a massive differentiator for us in the ecosystem. So we see our customers transforming across new products, new ways to engage customers, new ways to optimize operations. And the only way we do that is through partners like yourselves who help us not only back up that data, but take great value out of it.
Another key innovation was the whole cloud mobility, the portability of the data to Azure Stack. Again, your thoughts on that and what it means to our relationship?
Yeah, that's another great one. So, Azure today, I think, 330,000 customers in the Veeam ecosystem,
yes.
so pretty
and
impressive. 21,000 VCSPs, so a remarkable ecosystem. So that means that these customers today are lighting up Azure
yes.
with our partners and with Veeam. And so we know that the features you're releasing today help unlock that potential. So with 54 regions around the world supporting Azure, 70 certifications, that customer base is diverse, and it needs that type of technology proficiency to do it. So I'm happy to say I think you guys are leading the way.
So before I ask my last question, I just thought you flew all the way from Seattle down to Orlando. Now you got to fly back. Now I assume you're flying back to Atlanta for the game on the 3rd. I mean, it's a big game. I know that the heart and the warmth that you're
coming. No, thank you. No, just like many people from Seattle, I'm in the off season and the playoff season. I'm a soccer fan.
Okay.
So,
All right. So we won't bring up the Patriots. Okay.
I'm watching Chelsea. That's right.
No, seriously though. Last question, honestly. With all of the Veeam sellers and partners here, can you give them your thoughts on the best way that they can attack and work with your team throughout the U.S. and globally throughout 2019?
So Veeam, as I said, represents a unique and special partner for Microsoft. And so one of the things that you've unlocked better than anyone. So Veeam is one of the leading co-sell partners. In fact, last year in the US was their 2nd year as our co-sell partner of the year. So most co-sell wins, most co-sell growth, that's delivering value to the customer ecosystem. Not only that though, you actually leverage our partner ecosystem better in some cases than we do. And so I think continued work there, making sure that you're staying connected to the partner ecosystem that supports customers. Now I will say, 2 big actions for the Veeam folks in the room and the partners. Number 1, if you don't know who the Microsoft person is on the account that you're serving, reach out. Reach out to Carrie's team, reach out to the person that you know can connect you to the Microsoft person there. The second, it was mentioned earlier, joint account planning. I can't stress enough how important it is to connect the work that you're doing every day to the customer's transformation journey. And so Microsoft has a point of view on that. I know the partner ecosystem has a point of view on that, and so connect that work so we're serving the customer better.
Yeah. So I can assure you that in working with Microsoft in 2018, just make the phone call and good things happen. So Casey, can't thank you enough for coming in here.
Thanks, man.
Thank you again.
Yeah,
have a great 2019.
Thanks so much.
In my role, I'm also excited to work with lots of partners, especially our partnership with IBM Cloud, where they're using our Cloud Archive tier to provide unlimited capacity for long-term data retention with cost-effective, native integration into the IBM Cloud. Allow me to introduce to you Don Buglia, General Manager of Development Services at IBM Cloud.
Everyone, I'm Don Buglia. I'm General Manager of IBM Public Cloud. I'm here to make sure that we move as many of our enterprise workloads to the public cloud as possible. IBM and Veeam are better together, and we have seen tremendous growth since the beginning of the year. Veeam and IBM Cloud Object Storage make for a great combination and allow us to really provide the kinds of enterprise capabilities people are looking for as they move to the IBM Cloud. When I talk to customers about moving to the cloud, the concerns that come up are the things that they've come to know and expect in an on-premises environment that they start to question and ask questions about when they move to a public cloud. And so being able to provide a very strong statement about data protection, about data resiliency is key to being able to support those enterprise workloads. We feel like our solutions with things like Cloud Object Storage combined with what we can do with Veeam give us a really great data protection story and really kind of makes the fears of moving to the public cloud sort of dissipate. We've continued to make more and more integration possible with our IBM Cloud Object Storage, which is now integrated with the Veeam offering. With the IBM Cloud, you get the same experiences that you've come to expect in an on-premises data center as you move to a public cloud environment. 2019 is going to be a great year for IBM and Veeam. I look forward to a continued extended partnership there, and I want to thank everybody at Veeam for all of their efforts, and congratulations on your latest release.
Thank you, Don, and to the entire IBM team for your support. We love our Better Together story, and we're very confident that we're going to assist you and your teams to move those enterprise workloads over to the IBM Cloud. Here's to building an even stronger partnership with IBM throughout 2019. Thank you again, and let me introduce Danny Allen to close things up. Thanks, Danny.
Thank you to everyone in the room. Thank you to everyone online. We've shared a lot of really exciting things with you today. We're passionate about delivering simple, reliable, flexible backup solutions that enable intelligent data management. Were you impressed? Yes. So as a recap, we talked about simplifying cloud data retention, cloud mobility, improving security, supporting compliance initiatives. But we know it's the ecosystem of partners. It's the ecosystem of the folks in this room. It's the ecosystem of people online that actually drive our industry forward. And we are laser focused on one thing, and that is helping you, our customers, deliver the solutions that you need to deliver. We're here to help you deliver those solutions in the best possible way. And so thank you for sharing this time with us. We're excited about this release. We hope to see you in May at our VeeamON forum or VeeamON event down in Miami. But thank you very much. Have a great day.